Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 21st, 2015 City Council meeting. And at this time, I'd like to report out of closed session, and the report is there is no reportable action. So now, if we could, I'd like to call to order the council meeting of January 21st, 2015. And Chief, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Director Maloney, roll call.
Faria? Here. Lewis? Severa?
Present.
Stonegrove? Here. Peralta?
Here. Consideration of approval of agenda. Do I have a motion? Mr. Silvera.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Faria.
Second.
Motion by Silvera, second by Faria to approve the agenda as written. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None. Carried. Public forum. Members of the public may address the City Council members on any item of public interest that is within the jurisdiction of the City Council, which includes agenda and non-agenda items. No action will be taken on non-agenda items, and speakers are limited to a 5-minute presentation. Detailed guidelines are posted on the Council Chamber informational table. When you approach the podium, please state your name and city of residence. Is there anyone who would like to speak at the public forum?
Hi, Bertha Faria, Los Banos Chamber of Commerce. Just a couple of things. Want to let everybody know we'll be cutting the ribbon to welcome Berkshire Hathaway Home Services tomorrow. They were formerly Prudential California Realty. It'll be tomorrow at their office at 931 East Pacheco at noon. And then on Friday, we will be welcoming our newest member, Denny's in Santa Nella, with a ribbon cutting at 10 a.m. They'll also be featuring their new remodel. Other than that, we're getting our calendar ready for the 2015 Chamber year. The only thing I have so far that we have a application available on is our Spring Street Fair, which is slated for Saturday, April the 18th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak at the public forum? Not seeing or hearing anyone, I will now close the public forum, and we'll go on to item 7, consideration of approval of consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and be voted on in one motion unless removed from the consent agenda by a City Council member. Tonight we have...
Items on the consent agenda are as follows. Warrant numbers 151, 140 through 151, 362 in the amount of $1,083,675.33. Second quarter investment report for fiscal year 2014-2015. City Council Resolution number 5635, authorizing the city manager to execute a lease agreement with Merced County Community Action Agency for continued use of the Los Banos Child Development Center. And the items are to be approved as submitted.
Is there any City Council member who would like to remove an item for discussion? If not, do I have a motion? Mr. Silvera.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Mr. Faria? Second. Motion by Silvera, second by Faria to approve the consent agenda as stated. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? None. Carried. Let's go on to item 8, public hearing. If you challenge a proposed action as described herein in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing, described herein or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. Item 8A, public hearing. To receive public comment and consideration of an ordinance to regulate unattended donation collection boxes. And item 8A1, ordinance number 1126, adding Article 40, Chapter 3 to Title 9 of the Los Banos Municipal Code relating to unattended donation boxes. And before we open the public hearing, I'm going to go to Assistant Planner Elms.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm just going to give you a brief background for those at home or those in the audience that were not here at the last City Council meeting. So the ordinance came before the City Council on January 7th, and the Council waived the first reading of ordinance number 1126 and introduced it by title. Basically, the situation that we have here in town and what brought about us proposing this ordinance is that because we had a lack of regulations, there was a proliferation of boxes. They were being targeted by scavengers. There was illegal dumping happening. There was unsightly and detrimental to surrounding businesses, the unattended boxes. They had the potential for health and safety concerns, and some of them were being placed on private property without permission. So I just went through Ordinance 1126 and basically broke it down. The purpose of the ordinance is to regulate the placement of unattended donation collection boxes within the city. There's a permit process, and this is for the unlawful to place, operate, maintain, or allow unattended donation collection boxes unless the property owner or operator obtain a permit. So it's unlawful to have any of these boxes anywhere in town unless you have a permit. There's only one permit allowed per parcel, one application per parcel. You have to have the property owner consent. It needs to state that it's a manner in which donated items will be used, so that needs to be stated on the box, and it needs to be in the dimensions not to exceed 4 by 4 by 6, and the applicant would need to submit a drawing for their proposed location. There will be a fee, a non-refundable initial fee of $180, and then a renewal fee of $50. They will be required maintenance, and this should be maintained in good condition and appearance with no structural damage, holes, visible rust, and graffiti. It needs to be locked and secured. It needs to contain contact information in a 2-inch type. It needs to be placed, a copy of the permit to the front of the box, and this is going to be done with a label that'll be printed out by the Community and Economic Development Department. It's a removable label, and we're actually working with the local vendor in town to have our permits printed on that, but we'll be printing them in-house. It shall be serviced once per month and within 5 business days of a request by the city, and the operator will be responsible for maintaining the area around the bins free of junk, garbage, trash, debris, and other refuse, and it needs to be removed within 24 hours. So the placement of these bins are not permitted in any residential districts. They shall not be placed within 400 feet of another location. They shall not be placed on required parking spaces, or placed within 5 feet of the public right-of-way or within any corner vision triangle. And they shall not constitute a traffic hazard, and there cannot be more than 3 boxes on each parcel. And then implementation, basically within the ordinance, we've given 60 days from adoption that all persons having unattended donation boxes must apply for a permit. And then those that are still remaining non-permitted boxes will be cited for action by our code enforcement officer. So revocation, the Community and Economic Development Department shall have the right to revoke any permit if grounds for refuse exist. And so this is written within the ordinance. And if there's failure to comply with the ordinance, there's grounds for revocation. And upon revocation, the unattended donation collection box shall be removed within 30 calendar days. And if it's not removed, the city may remove it at the permittee's sole cost and expense. And then there is an appeal process, and this would go to the city manager within 10 days of being revoked of their license, or their permit, excuse me. This is a picture of an existing donation bins. These are use again bins. This is off of Ward Road behind the Los Banos Motel. And this is in front of Town and Country Liquor. So it's just a demonstration of the 3 bins together. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this proposed ordinance on December 10, 2014. Public comment. A public hearing notice was published in the Los Banos Enterprise on Friday, December 26th, and then an ordinance summary was published in the Los Banos Enterprise on Friday, January 16th, 2015. And we did receive a letter of support, which was submitted by Use Again. And other than that, no other comments have been received at this time. And I'm just going to read into the record what I received today from Use Again, Sheila Kaplis. And she just wanted to thank the City of Los Banos for crafting a fair and reasonable ordinance concerning unattended donation collection boxes. She said, "We have greatly appreciated working with the Planning Commission and request your support of ordinance number 1126. We believe that this ordinance effectively balances the needs and interests of the community while still promoting convenient clothing recycling opportunities through collection bins." So with that, staff is recommending that the City Council adopt ordinance number 1126, adding Article 40 of Title 9, Chapter 3 of the Los Banos Municipal Code relating to unattended donation collection boxes. And that concludes my staff report. And Henry Rogers is also here from Use Again to answer any of your questions.
Okay. Council's permission, I think what I'll do is, if you don't have any questions at this point, I'll open up the public hearing and receive any comment about ordinance number 1126. So at this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing in reference to ordinance number 1126, adding Article 40, Chapter 3 to Title 9 of the Los Banos Municipal Code relating to unattended donation boxes. Is there anyone who would like to speak at this time? Not seeing or hearing anyone, I will now close the public hearing, bring it back to council level. And do I have any comments or a motion? Mr. Silvera.
Just one comment, Mr. Mayor. I'm really happy with this ordinance, and I think that it addresses all the concerns that were brought forward in the first place, that what started the discussion on this ordinance. The people that are doing it legitimately and keep their spaces clean and keep their boxes neat and tidy, we're not punishing them. We're asking them, they are paying an annual fee of $50 and the beginning fee is $180, which I don't think is a lot to ask. And it gives us a way of keeping track of them, and then we get away from the problem of people just coming and dropping these boxes off at random places without permission. So I want to commend staff on a good job of writing this ordinance, putting it together, as well as commend Use Again for helping us through the process. So, they did submit some letters to staff and have been very complimentary, if you will, to staff for listening to their concerns, and to me, that's the way that it works. So that's just my comments on that. And if there aren't any other comments, I'd like to, let's see, at this point, we're just going to adopt the ordinance, correct?
I'm going to waive the second.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to waive the second reading of ordinance 1126 as stated by title.
Okay. Do I have a second? Mr. Faria.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Silvera, second by Faria to waive the second reading of ordinance number 1126. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? None carried. Mr. Silvera?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1126 as read by title.
Mr. Faria?
Second.
Motion by Silvera, second by Faria to adopt ordinance number 1126. And Director Maloney, roll call vote, please.
Faria?
Yes.
Lewis? Silvera?
Yes.
Stonegrove? Yes. Peralta?
Yes. Okay, carried unanimously. And let's go on to item 9. Consideration of adoption of City Council Resolution number 5636, establishing a complimentary ticket distribution policy. And we will go to the city attorney. I thought maybe we'd get out of here early today, but we'll see now.
Well, I'll keep it short.
Okay.
It won't be me that'll keep you here.
Okay.
Okay, you have before you tonight what's called a complimentary ticket distribution policy, and it's a policy that we're asking the City Council to adopt that would put together in writing a formal policy on how the city distributes complimentary tickets that it receives to events in the city. and that are events for a public governmental purpose. As you all know, under the rules of the FPPC, anytime you receive a gift of $50 or more, if you're a Form 700 filer, which everybody sitting up here is, and there are more of us in the city that have to file a Form 700, you have to record that gift on your Form 700. Also, there is a one-year gift limitation on receiving gifts from any one source. I believe it's up to about $450 per 12-month period of time. So, as you know, on occasion, the city has offered tickets to events, and by accepting those tickets, you are subject to reporting the value of those tickets on your Form 700 if they exceed $50. So the FPPC, a number of years ago, adopted a regulation that kind of is a shortcut to reporting those tickets. And what it does is, if the tickets go through the city as opposed to the city council members or the Form 700 filers individually, the city actually reports those tickets on what's called a Form 802, which the form is posted on the city's website. The form is filed with the FPPC, and it has information as to the ticket, the event, and who it was distributed to. And that is part of the regulation that gives the public or makes the public aware of what tickets are being distributed to what public officials. And if that's done in accordance with the policy, it's not considered a gift for the purpose of the $50 reporting requirement or the $450 limitation on gifts during a 12-month period. So it's almost, I would say, majority, if not all, except for Los Banos, have such a policy. And in our policy, what we've done is we followed the guidelines set forth by the FPPC on what's a event that's considered eligible for this type of reporting. And essentially how it would work is the tickets would come into, I think, the city clerk's office, although we've named the city manager as the administrator of the tickets. And then the administrator of the tickets creates a process to distribute the tickets amongst elected officials and other employees of the city of Los Banos. Once they're distributed, then, like I said, the distribution and the tickets are recorded on this Form 802. It's posted to the city's website and filed with the FPPC, and we're all done. There's nothing for any of the Form 700 filers who receive such a ticket. There's nothing for you to do in terms of reporting it on your own Form 700. So I think the benefit of having this policy is it kind of takes the mystery out of, do I have to report this? Don't I have to report this? Does it go on my Form 700 or not? If we have this policy and we follow the policy and the ticket meets the requirements of the policy, it will simplify your filling out and your reporting requirements under your own Form 700. So the policy is about 6 pages long. I don't intend on going through every aspect of it, only to tell you that it follows the regulation, and that there are certain tickets that come within the regulation, certain tickets that do not, but the administrator can determine which of those tickets do not and advise you as to whether that reporting needs to go on your Form 700. So essentially it's events of importance for cities to attend, and it has some type of tie to the city in terms of a governmental purpose. So there's a list of all of the types of events that meet that within the policy, and if it meets those, they'll be distributed, and instead of you reporting it, the city clerk's office will report it on the Form 802. So it's a very straightforward policy, although it's a little kind of tricky regulation to kind of I've learned in dealing with the FPPC is they don't say anything straight out as to, you have to really dig into the regulation to figure out what they're really trying to say. So we've tried to follow, well, I have followed their regulation in terms of using the words that they use when it means something. And like I said, I've looked at probably 20 of these policies throughout the state to get a feel for what our policy should say, and there's nothing in this policy that's outside of the norm of what you would see if you went to the next city down the street. So I think it's a good policy, and I think it's a good, if not this policy, if you want to make some changes to it, you ought to, I think it's a good idea to have a policy that's like this to deal with these tickets so that you're not dealing with your Form 700 issues. So I can answer any questions that you would like. Looks like we already have one, so there we go.
Stone Grove.
I just have a quick question. The Form 802 that the city is going to file, are
Yes.
those just going to be for tickets over $50, or do they report all the tickets that are obtained and distributed?
We would report all tickets.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Mr. Rivera?
So last year, CASA gave tickets to their event here in town. Would that fall under this policy?
Yes, and so let's say that ticket had a fair market value of $100. So then, if the tickets were distributed through this policy and not directly to you, so if the CASA people didn't send the ticket to you directly, but they came to the city, and the city followed the policy in distributing those tickets, it would not be reportable, even though it exceeded the $50 gift limit. It would be reportable by the city. And so if you'll notice, we attached the Form 802 to your packet, and it shows, it'll identify the ticket, identify where it came from, and identify who got it. And that gets posted for the public to know who's getting these complimentary tickets.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Do I have a motion? Mr. Silvera.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt City Council Resolution number 5636, establishing a complimentary ticket distribution policy.
Mr. Freya?
Second?
Motion by Silvera, second by Freya to approve City Council Resolution number 5636 as read. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Okay, let's go on to item 10, advisement of public notices, and we have no report this evening, correct? Okay, let's go on to item 11, city manager's report. Kerrigan?
Thank you, Mayor. I have 3 quick items. Tomorrow we'll be holding the annual homeless count in Los Banos. I'll be participating as an observer from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. So if there's any other volunteers that want to observe, just let me know before I leave tonight. Don't see any hands going in the air. That's okay. I'll carry it for the team tomorrow. The figures will be released from Merced County in the middle of February. So we'll get a handle on the numbers of homeless in the county. The second thing I want to talk real quickly about was Republic Services, or most people might remember them or refer to them as Allied. They did a really nice thing this last week. There's a young man in our community. He has a real interest in garbage trucks, and Eric Lamone over at Republic Services caught wind of that, so they took a truck over to this young man's house, and they showed him how everything operated and worked. They took him on a quick ride along, and he absolutely made his day. And his name is Cole, and I just wanted to recognize Eric for doing a good deed. And the reason I bring it up is we all get going pretty fast and doing a lot of things, and I do see and hear a lot of things, and I appreciate what city employees do. In this case, it was Republic Services, and I know Eric, and I can see him doing this, and I just wanted to recognize him tonight and say thank you for doing a good deed. And the last thing I have is David Whitty has been our reporter with the Los Banos Enterprise. He will be moving on to the Lodi News Sentinel, and I just wanted to thank you. I've appreciated working with you, your professionalism, and I've become friends with you in your time here. And I just want to say thank you and good luck in Lodi. I think you're really going to enjoy your next stop. So that's all I have.
Wasn't there a song, Stuck in Lodi? Creedence Clearwater. No, don't sing it, Tom. Thank you. Okay, let's go on to item 12, City Council member reports. Tonight, we'll start with Mr. Silvera.
Just a couple things. One, I'm going to tell Director Fage and your crew that's been working out there in front of the county fire station are doing an excellent job. Really happy with the results there. Had to go in a couple times to take care of some stuff down at the fire station, and the guys have been there, been working hard at it, and so really happy to see the progress on that. So good work to those guys, and if you could pass that along, I'd appreciate it. Next one is, it's kind of a crazy one, but it was my high school history teacher, 9th grade, Frank Lemos from Dos Palace. He watches every one of our council meetings. And so I was at a school board meeting in Dos Palace the other day, and he tells me how he watches. So I just wanted to say hi to Frank Lemos because I know that he's watching. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go on to Mrs. Stonegrove.
Thank you. One thing, 2 days ago attended the Martin Luther King Jr. March here in town. I wanted to thank the Kente Women's Club for organizing the event again this year, as they always do, and all of the other organizers, and for everyone that came out and participated in the event. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Freya.
Not too much tonight. I'll go ahead and plug the Choir's Chicken Drive-To Dinner. And they're having our annual, it'll be next Wednesday, $10 chicken, half a chicken, barbecued at La Morenita, beans, rice, tortillas from La Morenita. You can get tickets from any of the choristers or from me. And if you don't want to have to cook next Wednesday night, they always do a great job. Thanks. Have a great couple of weeks.
Thank you. Okay, and I also attended the Martin Luther King March, and also Mrs. Lewis was there. She's a little under the weather tonight. She's not here. Mrs. Lewis, speedy recovery. And also thank you to the Kente Women's Club and for keeping the dream alive and having this participation in the Martin Luther King March, which has gone on for many, many years. And with that, if there are no other comments, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:28.